No excuse.
Straight up.
Yeah. Well, people who can't get, it goes on YouTube Live, and they can ask questions. They can't verbally interact, but they can type questions. No, not at all. Very pleased. Very pleased.
Your supporters. Your supporters are allowed to come, yeah.
I have to leave at 8.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll be done with that.
Depends on how they're
Oh, for God's sakes, it's all right. I keep forgetting it's a touch screen.
Yeah. Well, Sylvia uses a touch screen. When she goes on mine, it's not got a touch screen. She gets very frustrated when she's trying to touch things and they don't work.
hopefully
We had the mayor of it this year. It's much as we know. You opposite.
I'm happily away Wednesday.
Well, yeah.
So do we think the guy who's gone back to Eastleigh is going to splash it around a bit this year?
You seen the gossip about the cameras?
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, if it is, the guy wants his head examined, isn't he? I'll be delighted if that's true, because if he's paying 4 times over the odds for a player, that's good, because I've discovered over the years, if you pay a player twice as much as he's on now, it don't make him twice as good as he was yesterday. Does it? It doesn't do that. Well, the good thing for the short term is he's been at Sunderland and they'll have been talking silly numbers there, so he might just think, and if he overpays for people that are average, that's fine. And the trouble is, if you overpay for 2 or 3, then you don't have a good dressing room. You've got to be like Wrexham and overpay for everybody.
I read the story about him coming back, because he allegedly had handed over ownership to some people who used to work for him, and then allegedly he's just mysteriously got it straight back.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't sound like he'd
I don't think he ever relinquished control.
It doesn't sound like he's only 2 clubs for a lot.
But of course, he won't have had an illegal control over Eastleigh. So, yeah, what can you prove with the conversation you have in the pub? You know? If I were you, I'd go and sign him. He's quite a good player, you know.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So I assume that might mean that Sunderland are in a bit of trouble and he's just hot-footing it out of there before it hits the fans.
I'll say on this, I haven't really read. I've ignored football mostly since the playoffs.
They lost in the playoffs, didn't they?
Yes.
Well, I've been listening to a little bit of the cricket on the way here, the mighty Ireland against England in a test match.
20 for 1.
Yeah, and I love the stats in cricket. I love the stats in cricket. And Andy Zaltzman, who was the scorer, he was saying, I'll check where that sits in the fastest opening partnership to 100.
Right.
And I think but something like the 7 out of the all-time top 10 have been in the last 18 months. Yeah, there've been no fast ones for 150 years, and now everyone's a fast one. So, yeah.
Some message box. Is that what you want?
Oh, there's a message. Yeah, there's a message box on there, on here,
Yeah.
on this one. Or have you got the same one there? No, there's a default message box here on this one.
Yeah. I've got the same one.
What it is. All right then, Nige.
I'm good, Philip. How are you?
I'm all right, really. I'm starting to wind down, thinking about holidays, really.
Yeah.
Not that I wind up too much on work these days.
No, well, I would say I'm counting down 3 weeks on Saturday. We're off.
Where are you going?
Montego Bay.
All right, okay. Jamaica. There's some jokes on that one.
We all should have.
We're going to Black Forest near the French border. And for the first time, I've booked a restaurant today that's on the ground floor of it, which that's something new. I didn't know I'd booked it, and it was only when it came back, and I thought, well, I'll just have a look where it is, and a picture of a lighthouse. Oh, right. But then I noticed it was the, whatever it's called, at the Lighthouse restaurant, but I never thought it was like in a lighthouse. So, yeah. What kick-off time is it on Saturday, the cup final? Is it at 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock. It's the
Bloody hell.
first
It's
time.
actually, that must be the first time in 300 years that they kick off at 3 on a
It's a
Saturday.
major thing.
Well, the Met allowing us to go out through the actual derby. Oh, is that why? Yeah.
All right, so the derby's still on Saturday, or have they moved that to Sunday?
It's really tied up the
5:20. Yeah, it'll be 5 later. Oh, right.
game, Shall we there? Not just the cup final show. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And I think I might actually watch it and get quite excited about it. It's something a bit different. So, not is it not different now? Man United and Man City being in the final, but together.
You've still got the message on.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be that.
Get it now.
Probably like most people.
Go off.
I didn't have a season ticket or something.
Yeah.
But I always used to get the same seat.
Oh, you stupid thing.
Yeah.
When they put the seats on the
Yes.
I had a
Hey,
seat
Mark.
up front right there.
Hey, Mark.
Because I had a problem with back.
That's scary.
A bit quiet.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, despite this room being booked, it isn't.
yeah. I've got a picture of this last match on,
Yeah, I was picturing sort of going down the slide or something while we were asking questions.
It's one team from back and we got all the heads of the piece of painting rather than
Very good.
Minute to go.
they've all signed it. And we're all-
Are we on properly? Have you done a
Yeah,
little
I
test
think,
message? Whatever?
well, Joe Dart said he could hear us twice. So I
Oh, hello,
turned that
Joe.
off
How
there.
are you doing?
So I'm hoping that they shouldn't be able to hear us twice now. So I've asked Joe if that's any better. Just waiting for a reply.
He does some
back.
nice little bits of analysis, statistical analysis, Joe does. I used to school with his dad, Paul. I think it's his dad, certainly. Some relation anyway. Some relation. I think it's his dad. Because Joe lives in Bury and his dad lives in Bury, so there's a much better than even chance. So. I bumped into a lad who I'd not seen since I left school in 1978 at a whiskey tasting do the other night as well. So Pete, a lad called Pete Raby. So,
You want to recognise them, I don't recognise them alive or schoolmates.
yeah.
CFC one.
How much whiskey you had, was it actually?
I was driving. I didn't have any. Well, that's not true. I had a little try of one, tiny little one, because it was one that there were two I'd not had before, and I took the other one home. I had a taste of Tully Badine that had been finished off in Cabernet Sauvignon barrels, and then there was a Scapa from Orkney that had been finished off in smoked whiskey barrels. So it hadn't been peated. It wasn't peated barley, but they'd had it for a year or so. Barrels this week. So, I've not got them in the back like or anything like that. But I bought a Linkwood barrel, which is what I love Linkwood Distillery in Speyside, and I bought a Blair Athol, which is just north of Perth, but that's in a cognac barrel, so that's a little bit different.
So, if you buy a barrel, then how do you get some of it?
Yeah, well, you can request samples every now and again if you want. You can request. They'll take a little dip and put it in a little medicine bottle and send it for you. I generally don't take them because I'd rather have it in the wood longer and taste it when it becomes whiskey. So because it's got to be in a barrel for 3 years and 1 day for it to be called whiskey. It's just spirit up until its 3rd birthday. So yeah, I've tasted some. Sorry.
How many bottles?
Well, they range from 300 to this cognac barrel's 500.
Anything to do with whiskey is
Yeah.
a question.
That lasts you a wee while, yeah.
Yeah, well, I hope to sell it. I don't actually want the barrel, I want to sell them. It's my pension fund.
Yeah.
It's my pension fund. Right, we are at the appointed hour, guys. So have we've got
Yeah.
some people online, have we?
Yeah, we've got a few
So
people
welcome
online
to
and
the June forum. Thank you very much for coming. We're great to be able to see that we've got Phil and Ash Kirk here as well, who have just asked if they could pop in, and we're more than welcome to have them so we can attack them quite badly and everything along those lines. The new topics that we've had since the last meeting, and we have got the full forum committee meeting on Saturday morning. So is the questions for tonight. If we can't deal with them tonight, we'll go to the committee meeting on Saturday morning. So the questions that have popped up since our last drop in are about the car park, and that's about the car park now, not the car park for Wembley. North Stand season tickets, the buy a brick scheme, then something that I don't think we've got total control of, but it'll be interesting to see what the club's view is. 3 up, as it were. Somebody's commented on a handrail in a particular area of the stand, and then there's somebody was a bit disappointed. They ordered something online on the shop that had got the stock there, and when they went to fetch it, somebody had sold it to somebody else and there was none left. So it's that procedure on that. We had one about the mascot package, and somebody suggested, can we have a tuck shop in the family stands? And then, of course, there were, and it's in the past now, but there were lots of comments about stuff to do with Wembley, bus prices, parking at the stadium if you're going on the bus, and one that is a nothing really, but we'll acknowledge that it was received about the ultra low environmental, or whatever it's called, ultra low ULEZ zone, ultra low environmental zone, I think it's called. Emissions, ultra low emission zone, that's it. Euro 6 engines and all that sort of stuff. And I think it was just somebody who misinterpreted the information, because Ian, the chair, who lives in London, put out a thing by Nick about, by the way, whilst Wembley's not in the ULEZ zones, if you're going into London or stopping in some hotels, you might be. So check you're registered for it. Otherwise, it's like the congestion zone. You get zapped if your car isn't compliant or registered or whatever. So and of course, we've got people online that will be putting forward questions, and everybody, all our guests here tonight, we encourage you all to ask any questions. So, really, I think the thing that caused the most social media stir was the price of the buses to Wembley, £59, no reductions. But I've had conversations with John Crew, and it was a question of guaranteeing the number and making sure you could get them, versus, well, we can do it at 39, 40 quid, but you only get 10 buses. So really, it's a question of, was that approach right? Was it anything done different? We don't know the commercial arrangements. Ash might share bits, but obviously it's a commercial arrangement with Wilfried Beehive and everything like that. But of course, people don't want to think that they were trousering lots of money. It's better if the club trousered a little bit, but you don't want the bus company to be trousering a bit. And people compared the cost of travel to Chelsea the season before at 30, whatever it was, £33, But I know Ian said the organisation for these was terrific, wasn't it? It was really, really good. You knew where you were going, and I think there were 5 members of staff from Wilfreda Beehive came down to steward on the day, so they had to be felt for. So what? Before Ash has an opportunity to say anything, what were people's views about that in general?
Having worked in public service transport for most of my life, I honestly do believe, they had Chesterfield Football Club over. It really is not that difficult to get buses. We've done it before, times before at Wembley. You can pull buses from anywhere in North Midlands, and they'll come.
And don't you think the rail strike had any
I think the
real
rail
difference?
strike encouraged them to up the price. Yeah. Honestly do. I mean, because there were people even at last minute. I mean, the guy I know, Mr. Marriott from Alfreton Direction, he offered his coach, which was a 59-seater luxury coach, for far less money than that, and somebody took him up on it.
How much did Wednesday and Barnsley pay last week? Anybody know? I don't know.
Between 55 and 65.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Sheff United for the
Of course, yeah, they were.
FA Cup
They were
semi
there,
was
yeah.
55, no concessions.
Right, their official travel. Okay, I hadn't seen that. So,
I mean, one
I
issue,
think there was a train strike then though.
Yeah.
Well, weren't there, Sheffield?
one issue you've got with you're using a company that's just outside Doncaster. Way,
anyway, yeah.
So you've 2 hours extra payment on a driver for every single coach, every single game. Approximately 60, 70 miles worth of fuel.
And the word as well for BI coaches, they sublet out
Yeah.
to get the numbers
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So there's extra expense.
Did you? I don't expect anybody counted, but did you count how many of the 25 or whatever it was that were Wilfreda Beehive and how many were others? What we did? It's not the first thing you think about doing, is
I'll
it?
tell you exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, look at that. Yeah, good for that. Yeah, Nigel used to organise coaches to Chesterfield away matches.
All I'd say on that, it's one of them, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
It's a lot different organising 3, 4, 5 buses than it is potentially up to 50, which we all thought we would have needed.
Yeah.
All right, we only ended up with 20, but, like Notts County had the trouble, they
got
run out
14, 15.
of
Yeah.
14, so it was that. Chesterfield could have been in that position, they tried to go the other way.
I think we needed 50. We thought we'd be 50 because the Chelsea.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
of course the price was off of what it was. So
Yeah.
I think immediately, as soon as he got that quote and said it was 60 quid, I think you should want to know that people weren't going to do it. That suppressed demand.
Yeah, and of course, one of the other downsides that made it more
There was
difficult
no
than
time to
that over the barrel thing is
And
time. You've just said it.
That's the other thing, Mark.
Five
Working
Yeah,
days.
five days and one of them were a bank holiday.
Yeah, and that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And Ashley's explained on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the room, I guess, and part of the decision-making process. And it was, we spoke on Thursday before the playoff.
Yeah.
And we knew that if we did win, we would have 5 working days really to get ourselves organised in the club. And there was a lot to do, ticket sales, shop. There was just liaising with Wembley, sorting out the players and what they needed, sorting out the squad. There was a lot to do, and we do have limited numbers in the club. And John and I sat and talked about it, and he's like, "I know Wilfreda do this package, and they will take care of the coaches." And we also recognise that pubs will take a coach, a single coach, or a couple of coaches. And it was a case of, well, let's give everyone the opportunity to get to the match. What we can't do is control the price. So we phoned up with the chap. To be honest, the guy at Wilfreda was very helpful. He's got an open book policy. I don't quote on this, but because I haven't seen the final numbers, but he was aiming to make £7 a ticket. That's what he was doing. Because it's a business, he's trying to make a bit of money. And we entered into it on that. on that basis and on that understanding that he'd take care of everything. It was all booked online with them. You know, we wouldn't have to deal with it because we were running around, as you can imagine, like nothing in the run up to Wembley. I mean, it ended with me driving tickets down to meet the coach at Wembley for the players on the Friday, so they could give them. That's how last minute it was.
Yeah.
You know, it was
No time.
and it was a case of there was a rail strike. Let's give the opportunity to every fan, if they want to get there, they can get on a coach. They might be able to find cheaper coaches, they might have to drive themselves, they might find another way, but let's give everyone an opportunity. Obviously, Notts County took the other approach. They guaranteed the price and then found once they'd had 10 or 12 coaches, they couldn't get any more at that price. And as Adam says, it was a difficult decision. And I'm not sure there was a right one, but we did what we thought was in the time what was the best for supporters. And yeah, you know, it's things are expensive as well, which doesn't help. It was lack of time. We could have had 3 weeks, we'd have got a better price. If there hadn't been a rail strike, we'd have got a better price. You know, all that sort of stuff adds up. And I do appreciate that if you're booking 2 or 3 coaches, you get a better price. But Wilfrieda was saying we'll send 2 empty coaches behind in case one breaks down. And we'll make sure there's stewards and we'll do this. And I do appreciate that adds cost to them. And they were guaranteeing us as many coaches as we needed, because it was to us on what do we need to pay to guarantee. So that was the thinking behind it. Hopefully, you know, considering again, there was just a few days' notice. We had an excellent support at the game. It would have been nice to get more there, but it was, you know, the decision was taken hopefully with everyone's best interest and understanding that there's a limited amount of time we have.
And to be fair as well, if cost was an issue, and it will have been for a lot of people, don't get me wrong, there were alternatives on all the social media and the message boards until a couple of days before. Oh, we've got this 4 on the one from the Three Horseshoes at Claycross, there's 2 on the one from Eckington School, there's 1 on the one from whatever. So people could still, until a day or 2 before, unless you've got 25 people in one go, but then you want to get there. But if cost was an issue, there were still odds and sods kicking around until the relatively late in the process. No question. Joe sort of said, has put a comment through, he says, my dad used to own a coach company and I worked in the office for quite a few years. Most coach companies would have been fully booked with a week's notice for Saturday. I think it was a tough decision for the club. Either way would have been the wrong decision, which is a little bit like you were saying.
It could have been like a Ryanair approach, where the first 10 coaches were 32 quid.
Yeah.
And then the second 10 were 55, and then the last 10 were 70.
Yeah.
You know, it could have ended up like that. Again, which might have been a good way of doing it. I don't, you know,
Well,
difficult to know.
There are only 8 coaches Wilfred behind, including 2 sweeper coaches.
So all right. So there were 6 with people on.
So if they took the other approach,
Yes.
I could only offer 8, and then they've gone out with.
Actually, I listened to your podcast, and you thought it very, very clear and succinct indeed. My only thought was, would there have been any possibility of a bit of club subsidy going into those seats? Because some clubs do it, some clubs can afford to do it, and others can't. But that was something that came up in my mind as a possible solution to bring the price down.
It'd be great to do that. We can't afford it. We haven't got, you know, we're paddling furiously to stay afloat.
Sure.
And we're not in a situation where we can subsidise, because we just aren't, unfortunately. It'd be nice to think we are, but we aren't. So.
I've not heard anybody say though that they didn't go because of price.
No, I mean,
Not heard anybody say anything at all.
I haven't, but I've not talked to lots of people.
I think we expected 20 or 620.
I think, well, I think with 5 days' notice, I
Yeah.
thought 15 personally.
Well, I know there were more Notts County supporters than Chesterfield supporters, but it was a higher crowd than the division above, play up by 4,000.
Yeah.
So that was
But
interesting.
there again, population of Nottingham goes 8 times that suggested.
Yes, of course.
They've never played at Wembley.
Not the new Wembley. They never played at new
So
Wembley.
again, that was
And we made more noise than them.
And the that time element. I think somebody popped it somewhere on social media. I don't know. The last time at Wembley, there was 52 days before you knew you were going and going. That makes a fair old difference. Yeah. It was bonkers,
We
really.
only got stuff
Yeah.
from National League.
It was great for Paul Cook and everybody. You have that continuity. You're not kicking your heels for 3 weeks. It was great from a football perspective, but it was difficult. But it was interesting to see. When we drove down on the morning, the number of people had taken advantage of the parkonmydrive.com type of things. As you're driving through Harrow, there were just groups of 3 and 4 people coming out of every drive down the way. So people found ways of getting there and found reasonable ways of getting there. Yeah, it was a great idea because whilst that existed when we played in 2014 last, it wasn't a well-known phenomenon. But now it is a lot better known, and people did that. And,
Most county fans, though, they knew a few weeks before that they'd more than likely be going to Wembley.
Yeah.
We didn't know till weekend.
Yeah.
Before we were going.
Yeah, they organised the
So
parking
they
with Harrow
get
Borough,
themselves
didn't they, and everything like that.
Sorted a lot quicker than we could.
Yeah. But you sort it all out, waste your time and don't get through. You look Charlie's, don't you? Well, we all thought that woman who organised the coach for Wembley for Sheffield Wednesday was a Charlie after the first leg, didn't we? Last laugh was on her, really. So, okay. I mean, it was a big thing. Like you say, Dillis, we've not had throngs of people saying, "Oh, I didn't go because."
You had a moaning before,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't 60.
Yeah.
But then they still did it, so I'm not heard anybody saying, well.
And I think it was. I think somebody. This wasn't my original idea. I read it and agreed with it. That the tension you get with playoffs, a lot of people don't want to go and have the disappointment. Whereas if it's cup final, JPT, you just have a good day out, and if you lose, you've still a good day out. Whereas we took more in both the cup matches than we did in the previous playoff matches, which is silly, really, isn't it? But
What was do we know what the lounges were like on the day? Because they had the match on, didn't they?
Oh yeah, here.
I should know. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know.
It's all right. I've not heard anything
No,
about anybody.
It was only one lounge because we booked some WrestleMania or something.
Oh, right. Well, I think the Notts County goalkeeper should have been at that, shouldn't he? Yeah, that challenge early on. But anyway, thanks for that. And the parking thing, when you've got 25 coaches and whatever, I don't think it was you were ever going to not be able to park here. I think the issue was the message came a bit late.
The lesson for me is I'm going to the AGM of the National League next week. How exciting is that on a Saturday? And I will be saying 5 days for a Wembley playoff final is absolutely ridiculous.
Especially when one of it's a bank holiday as well.
Yes.
We could have played on the Saturday. There was no reason we couldn't play on the Saturday because they could have had both the matches on the same night. On the Tuesday or Wednesday, couldn't they?
To expect,
and
it was. I think that the attendance could have been 10,000 more if we'd have had another week from both sides.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were in chaos as well. The National League.
They could have had they could have had the cup finals, the Vars and the that weekend, and our playoff this week.
The 28,000.
Mentality to get the season over as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So these traditional non-league clubs are not playing the players.
Yes.
That extra week.
Yes.
And let's be honest, it shouldn't have been at Wembley, should it? It should have been at Etihad or Old Trafford or.
Yeah.
They've signed up for the next 4 years.
Have they?
Yeah.
Have they?
At least people know that because people haven't known for the last 3-4 years where it's going to be. They keep changing it. So.
Well, we'll win the league next season.
Yeah,
we're not
needing
it next year.
Yes. Yeah. Not relevant. You're absolutely right, Neil.
No messing next season.
No. But no, say that non-league day, there were 28,000 there, which I thought was terrific. Halifax Gate said Ascot and not Milton Keynes, was it? Newport Pagnell, it was somewhere around there. Newport Pagnell, which was terrific, 28,000 for that. I'm sure it didn't cost as much as our match, but
20 quid.
20 quid was it?
For both games,
I think that there were more for our match than
League Two, and Stockport and Carlisle.
Prices were higher for the League Two game.
Yeah.
But not
The tickets for the women's FA Cup wasn't that the day after? They were significantly less than we charged.
Yeah.
Charged us significantly less, and they subsidised coaching.
Yes.
Whereas you didn't, obviously, for our game.
Well,
Yeah.
we haven't had the accounts yet, so it'll be interesting to see what money we actually made from it
Mm.
when they come through.
And one of the other, just to finish off, one of the other things that the club will have been busy with in that time, the club had to sort out the hospitality tickets, didn't it? That wasn't a Wembley thing. So that was another thing thrown in. Well, so you didn't have to worry about the
£15,000
match
worth of
tickets.
in
Yeah.
4 days.
4 days.
And there was an obligation, wasn't there? You had to sell
Well,
so
no, if you
many.
didn't sell- You had to pay 15,000 to go,
Yeah.
and they gave you some tickets to sell. That
Yeah.
was it. You had to. There's no choice.
Mm.
It was the same with the advertising in the programme, wasn't
And
it?
advertising and audience, it was mandated. You had to buy.
You had
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that, I mean, smaller teams, that could have,
Well,
Mm.
And it's cheaper to buy a box than to pay for those tickets that made us buy.
yeah, it's outrageous, really.
Yeah.
So it's a
And that leads up. You say you're going to the AGM, Ash. I'm sure 3 Up will be on the agenda as,
Yes,
as
I
somebody.
believe it is.
But of course, it's got to be on the Football League's agenda as well.
Yeah.
It's all well and good. The National League decided on something, but if the Football League don't put it on their agenda, nothing's going to happen, is it? So, but it is interesting from a lobbying perspective. I think there's 17 teams in League Two who've been in the National League in recent times, and Joe, who was on there, who was sort of saying, I think there's a majority of teams in League One who've been in the National League as well. I've not checked that myself, but Joe will be right.
And one in the Premiership, of course.
Yeah, one in the
Yeah.
Premiership now. Yeah, brilliant. Well done to them.
Can I make a point on the car park?
Yeah,
Not so much in the morning, but on the return journey, it seemed to be a complete free-for-all. Nobody was stopped coming in. And the coach we were on was standing for up to 10 minutes in the middle of the road.
I couldn't
Because
get in.
There were people, coaches unloading across the road and something in the
Yeah.
driveway. So it seemed to me that there'd be nobody on turning people away who were just coming to pick people up off of coaches.
That's
So
useful to know.
Yeah.
the sort of organisation which was provided to me in the morning.
the road was
Yes.
blocked
It was
when I
completely
came to
jammed,
pick
and
her
Yeah.
up.
I think we were 10 minutes standing in the middle of the roadway to
Yeah.
right.
That's that's
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, my thought would be to advise people, please do not come.
Yes.
I mean, whether you could have some comment with Tesco to say, you know,
yeah. Well, you just need a steward directing or something there,
Yeah.
don't you, on the time?
Yeah.
But and were most of the coaches in a convoy on the way back, or did they arrive at roughly the same time?
There was, I came and picked her up. They got back about
we got
11:30-ish, 11:45. But I know that there were some coaches still getting back at
Yeah.
about 1 o'clock because they got back roughly the same time as the
Yeah.
players, I think. But they'd been stuck getting out of Pink Car Park for 2-3
we were on
hours.
coach one.
So if you were lucky and at the front of the parking, you got out first.
We were on coach one, and it was about 20 to 12, I think. when we-
Yeah. So yeah,
Well, no, that's a good point
The
for
problem-
similar.
Yeah,
I think I
yeah.
probably slid in between your coach that was trying to turn right and the 2 coaches that were parked up outside the glassworks to come down and turn around.
So, I mean, whilst it may not happen for a few years, it's something that the club should bear in mind.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, the controls in the morning, fine, but then, you know, people come in,
Yeah.
it was very, very difficult. And, you
Yeah,
know,
no, very, very good point. And I say if people, because they can't park here, have got people picking them up.
yeah.
That's
So I would say,
yeah.
well, pick you make an arrangement with Tesco or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the roads around were chaotic. Generally.
Yes.
Wasn't
Yeah.
a match coming out.
But if we'd have won, it wouldn't have seemed so bad, would it? And we'd have been even later because we'd have been still in the stadium
Yeah.
an hour
For
later.
an hour and a half after leaving.
the amount of
Wembley,
Notts
it was
County
still
fans
dark.
that were piling out
On
when we were going out,
Yeah.
it was unbelievable.
Yeah, well,
Uh, I didn't understand that. If you've paid all that money to go,
and
and
talking
don't
about
wait.
talking about the car park, the note that we've had, there've been a few occasions last season where mine and other parking spots have been taken up by away fans. Doesn't matter who they are, the other fans. I know we've got the pink and the blue and the orange spots and everything now. Are the stewards aware that all spaces are taken up at both entrance positions? Now, I'm not sure if this person, I know this person is disabled. I'm not sure if they've got a disabled spot. They've not said that on the note, but I think they might have. Are the stewards aware that all spaces are taken up at both entrance positions, main gate and the corner of the north and east stand? So that's probably here. Post-game drivers are told not to leave their spaces, but at full-time cars are already out waiting. And I and others have been told to use the exit by the back road, so the away coaches exit instead of waiting. Are we allowed to do that, or should we still be waiting? So it's just a clarification of what's needed. Also, he's made a suggestion. I don't think this will be something that's possible, but it's a suggestion. Can the club, council, police, seeing how the West Brom replay road system worked, they must have closed roads down, did they let people out?
Yeah, they closed the main road outside the ground.
Yeah. Could Sheffield Road be closed between Racecourse Road and Pebble Road to relieve the traffic coming out the stadium for 30 to 45 minutes post game? I don't know if that's something that.
Yeah, I've always said that high cat games, but it's a council decision. We try and deal with emergency ones. So
Need Dave Bailey back on there. So it's just that I'm sure pre-season will reiterate Nick or whatever will put out a reiteration of what the rules are on the car park, and I'm sure the stewards will be briefed.
all stewards are briefed every game about the car park.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be anybody on the footprint without a permit.
Yeah. I want to. Yeah. Well, we have the hairdressers coming in at 10 o'clock in the morning, don't we? So,
Parking next buildings.
Yeah. We know there is an issue on that. On the North Stand, selling season tickets on there. The question on that is for next season, I expect away fans to be seated in the East Wing stand, which is great, and so I think it's a great initiative from the club, with only sort of like York, Hartlepool, Oldham, maybe the teams that will fill that. And the question, he just wants to know that if there's matches with potentially bigger gates, will those season ticket holders be moved? Well, I think we can safely say for league games, no. But if we drew Man United in the cup,
yeah, we have to give them a bigger percentage. I think it's 15 million.
Yeah.
So we would have to move those people, but we have obviously they get priority before any. It's just how we've discussed it, and yes, they'd have to be moved.
Yes,
put it like that.
Yeah.
So if it was like the West Brom game or whatever, but we're not.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, I mean, we're not expecting a massive take up of season ticket holders
No.
in the North Stand.
No.
What it's going to enable us to do is make it more, better for the team playing because they'll have home fans. More from we're going to make it the cheapest area of the ground for
kids
match
as
tickets.
well, yeah.
So that we encourage people who are coming, who maybe come through the trust,
Yeah.
who've got cheaper tickets to come, and it gives us the opportunity to do family deals in there, and it also means that we are looking. This is bear in mind this is hot off the press. I'm not sure I should be telling you, but we're looking into the option of getting a fan zone, and if we have a fan zone, it will be between the north and the west stand. And obviously, we wouldn't put that near away fans. And,
Yes.
But that's, on that area in front of the wall, because it's the only bit that doesn't have a fire exit wall. That maybe just have a little area there, just to, people have been asking for it, and just to try and do something.
Well, that was a question from the last forum that I know
those
Paul
lines.
fed back.
So that was another thing, and it just gives us more flexibility having the north. The players loved it kicking into both ends. You can imagine both ends.
Yeah.
It was just the atmosphere in the ground was great. So.
What would a fan zone entail then? What would that be for?
Now you're asking the wrong person. It's people talk about fans.
It's a zone for fans.
It should be a zone for they might have a band playing. They'd have a bar. They'd have a bit of food, drink on. They might, if it's nice weather, they might have, who. It's not for me to do, but that's what they're talking about.
Did anybody in here go to the fan zone at Wembley
Yes.
and describe it then? I know it's a Wembley thing when you've got lots of people.
Yeah, there was different beer and food carts around, I know my husband walked away from one that was trying to charge him £4.80 for a cup of coffee.
There's a DJ.
There was a DJ there, and that was it. It was just all Chesterfield fans. There was a bit of singing, a bit chanting, and different. I mean, there was one. It was coffee and cake.
Yeah.
So their coffee was expensive, but then the burger one, the coffee was £3. So he was slightly.
I know. I think from a police perspective, the more people are in the same place, close to the ground, is better, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely right.
to, and they were £19 for 2 burgers.
It's Wembley prices, unfortunately.
And it want them horrible sausages that look as though they're made out of water as well, was it? Oh, yeah.
I know that in Wembley they had a lemonade stall in the concourse. They had a candy floss stall and a popcorn stall. And then you had the other ones that were, there was one that was a burger one. One was, there was pick and mix. There was a hot dog one at one point. And then there was fish and chips up the other end. You know, there was,
well,
they were individual stalls doing individual things instead of everything.
So it's great to say that the fan zone's been looked at, because that was something that was brought up at the forum, and it naturally links in with the question that somebody asked about, could we have a, they call it the tuck shop in the family stand areas where they just sold little bits of sweets just for the kids, for the pocket money sweets and everything along those lines. I did mention it to somebody who does stuff on the concourse, and was, well, we sell sweets behind the thing anyway, yeah, but if you have to queue up for half an hour, that's the issue. It's a Brampton Brewery scenario, only with sweets, isn't it?
Or vending machines.
Yeah, the problem with that is they might get vandalised.
Yeah, but I'm sure there'll be a Dolly's sweet shop equivalent that'll come and mix up 3 or 4 bags or whatever.
I can remember Dolly's sweet.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I'll mention, that we had a stewarding company who helped us during the Bromley game with bar staff, and it certainly made a big difference to the amount we sold.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it made a difference to the time people were waiting to get drinks. We are aware that that's obviously a big issue, and that's something that we're going to look at.
Yes.
As soon as we start the season, is to get more staff behind the bars.
So that was interesting, because I saw Maddie, and she said for the first time she's got a full complement of staff. So it was an agency that we brought in.
Well, yeah, because it was just, the amount of the difference it made in the takings was well worth having the staff come in to do it, and I just think it gives everyone a better experience. It did help that the game lasted for about 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
We all needed a drink. We all needed a drink. But
you didn't put the bloody drone up, did you? Let's get a drone. Yeah, it might be something we'll look at in the future.
Liam Power says, on the subject of Brampton, I love serving on Brampton.
Oh, well done, Liam. He's very enthusiastic, Liam, about
loves
his duty on the concourse.
Yeah, thank you, Liam.
So that's where, hopefully that will make a difference next year as we, we try and improve things in the concourse. We do appreciate it's a timeline.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, while we're on East Stand, it's probably going to be another rolling complaint of the egress into it, especially now.
No, it's always going to be there, but
that's what I mean.
I know it's been mentioned at a couple of fans forums. I don't know whether it's got back to the board at all about having handheld scanners for season ticket cards or tickets.
On this corner, Gateway 8 is used for nothing. It's a small gateway. It's just over the size that would fit 2 turnstiles. I previously said fitting 2 more turnstiles is going to cost money, but I have 2 stewards there with handheld scanners.
Okay, I'll take that back. We have had handheld scanners. Now we don't have them anymore because I don't know why. I'll have to find out. One thing that we've just paid 28 a lot of money to upgrade all the turnstiles. So the scanners in the turnstiles were running off an old Windows system, and they've been upgraded to Android last week. And we've had to pay for all of that going in, which has been a considerable investment. But hopefully it'll speed things up. It'll mean they all work all the time. We've also got a couple of sort of spares that are ready to hot swap as well.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's good.
If we do have any problems, it'll improve things.
Yeah, certainly, Darryl Carpenter, who was here last time, was saying for the last couple of matches in the season, the East Stand queues weren't as bad as they had been. But I don't know if anybody else has got that experience.
We had to delay kick-off, didn't we, with the Bromley game, but it just needs that message going out. People just need to come earlier, because we're seeing crowds that we've not seen in the stadium. That's nice.
When 9,000 was becoming fairly normal,
Yeah, they turned up still at 5 to 3.
I mean, hopefully having the North Stand open and making to our own fans will make a difference as well.
Yes. Yeah, because when we've had 9,000 crowds in the past, it's generally with 2,000 away fans. Not 9,000 Chesterfield fans. So. But nice problems to have, to be honest, aren't they? Okay, let's Yeah, I don't expect you to know the answer to this, Ash, but we'll just put it in the buy a brick. We did launch a buy a brick thing, didn't we? And it was well before Christmas because it was an ideal Christmas gift. And there's been people who bought a brick.
Possibly been over a year.
It might be. They just want to know what's happening. So I'll put that on
was
our
there
notes.
something about the person
it's the
that
one
was
that's gone on
doing
this call,
them had gone out of business or something, so they were trying to source some other ones? Don't know if you.
Pete did mention some supplier issue.
I know Pete
Well,
said
yeah.
something about it.
You know, the guy who stopped business is the guy that was doing the plaques for the memorial.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah, definitely. That's. Yeah.
Camera.
I have
Yeah.
no idea.
It'll be
I'm not sure if it's a trust thing.
it's a commercial
It's
department
commercial,
thing.
is it?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
It was Bridget or Jim. Can't quite remember which.
No idea.
But it was out for. It was a Christmas gift, wasn't it? For sure. So it's
Yeah.
at least 6 months. And it's in this corner here, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's this corner here.
So it's probably because they.
So yeah, we'll
They
just get
did
a
it
question
for-
into the
yeah.
commercial guys to do that, and then I don't propose to necessarily talk in detail about the guy who said about the could do with a handrail because I'm 81 and all that sort of stuff. Terry's aware of the comment, and it's not always easy to put
No.
handrails in and everything along those lines.
It is something that needs to be possibly looked at. The only place that's got handrails is each end of each stand.
Yes.
So if you're sat there, then you're okay. If you've got any mobility problems or if you're getting on in years,
Yeah.
getting up can be an issue.
Yes.
You know? So yeah, it could be looked at. I don't know how they do it.
But Terry's
Whether-
aware of
yeah.
the issue, and he'll no doubt have a look at that and see what's.
You know, you do see every game, you know, a number of older people and that struggling
To get up to
up-
the
up
seats.
and
Yeah.
down, yeah.
And the person that tumbled a few games ago wasn't a particularly elderly person either. It just shows you that it is quite difficult, isn't it? But,
You just need something that's sort of seat back level on that end seat, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah,
How
it's
it
a very
could be
difficult
done.
sort of thing to do. Yeah. And then again, I'm not. I don't want to know the answer, but I'll send a note into the shop about the guy who'd ordered something online, and it was in stock. Went down a day or two later, and they'd sold it. They'd not pulled it out of stock. It's not reserved that stock for the person online. So you know, a potential wasted journey in to get that and a upset punter having ordered something that when he went there wasn't available. So we need to just get the shop to look at that process, because if there's only 2 left and you only look at the end of the day, you could have easily sold 2 in the course of the day, can't you? If there's 100 left, it's not really going to make much difference.
To be fair to Lisa, at part of the Wembley debacle, I was in there a few times.
Yes.
And she was unloading boxes as quick as it was going.
Yeah,
out.
I'm not sure when this was. Let's see when it came. I don't know if I keep the date when it came in on this printout. I've got the date at home, but no, I've not got what date it was. But it was the quote that came just before the ULEZ, the emission zone one. So I suspect it was in the heat of the Wembley debacle. So or not debacle, busyness. And there was a complaint similar about not having kit for a mascot that came in that's been adequately answered by Nathan Kahn, and you know, I asked when Nathan responded to that, I asked the person who sent it in, is that true, or if that's not true or accurate, let me know, and he's not let me know. So I think he might have been just getting information third hand.
Yeah.
And
Nathan said there's actually something on the website, a warning saying
Yeah.
they're short of socks.
Yeah,
So
socks or shorts or something
they
like
put
that,
a
yeah.
discount on
They put a
the,
discount on it, yeah. It's a
and they got
it's a
everything
non-issue.
else. You know, they've got photos. If
There's one more size 10 socks, then you can check your stick out in the shower.
Is that little size 10s or
No,
big
no,
size
big
10s?
size 10.
Big size 10.
It's good for Santa.
Ah.
Rebranded as Santa.
Yeah, Santa.
Christmas
Yeah,
socks.
brilliant.
Christmas
Are there any
stockings.
questions from inside the room that we want to ask?
In case people want to know, the new kit will be delivered to us on the 9th of June.
On the
9th of June.
9th of June.
Shop might actually be shut because there's so many pre-orders to
Yes.
get all that sorted, and then it'll be on general sale.
So 10th, 11th. Yeah, cool. Liam Powers put on, is there scope for us to get a band on the pitch like Wrexham did with Kings of Leon to get us some more revenue, especially when we win the league? It could be a promotion party.
Yeah, sadly we got to the playoffs and it cut time down this year, didn't it? So, but I know that's something that John Crook said in the past, that for next year, hopefully, back on the concert.
Yes is the answer to that question.
Yes.
There we go.
If we can.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be the right people who are touring in the right place. You can't.
And at the right time, because we're going to have like a 3-week window for the
Yes.
pitch before we either dig it up or
I can imagine it's difficult with pitch because that was
Yeah.
dug up the morning the buses were pulling, weren't it?
Yeah.
So it's not much of a good time.
No.
Yeah.
We've obviously lined up some good friendlies this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're able to do that because we've got a pitch. So if we have a match, then we won't be able to have so many. It's a little bit like that, as you can imagine. And we've had some really good. Having said that, we've got some really good growing weather this week. So
Yeah, it's been perfect this week,
it's
hasn't it?
looking good.
Yeah. Perfect. We're still waiting for a formal announcement on Drew Talbot's, but I think most people probably know when it might be.
Okay.
I think Mr. Chansiri has got to just sign it off at the Sheffield Wednesday end.
I know that somebody had commented on one of the Chesterfield posts, why can't we put them out, all the friendlies out at the same time? And I know that
Well,
one of the clubs was waiting to announce all of theirs at the same time,
The-
but then you
yeah.
haven't just got one club to deal with, you've got
Yeah.
6 or however many.
the plan was to
you
put
know.
2 out this afternoon.
Yeah, we got a friendly that's an away friendly that's. We haven't signed an agreement or anything, and the PR department of the club said it's all right if we put it out tomorrow. It's like, well, hang on, we've not even been in touch, so it's a little bit like that at this time of year. Everyone's on skeleton staff.
Is there any plans to do a friendly like last year, between 2 international sides?
Can I say yes? There's plans,
Nothing signed yet.
but
No,
nothing's.
no, great, that's all I want to know. I won't push you any further.
That was a superb coup last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Quality teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many people on the pitch.
Yeah.
The other squads of about 40,
Yeah.
didn't they?
That helped raise the profile of the club.
And they both,
And I'm
they were
asking
both really
another question that's
complimentary
been
as
asked
well.
for so
Yeah.
many years. When are we going to have a friendly against Darmstadt?
Yeah, our
We've
twin
been-
town in
We've
Germany.
been twinned with that town to donkey chairs.
They
Yeah.
don't know. They've just
Yeah.
got promotion
Yeah,
to
they're up to Bundesliga, yeah.
Bundesliga as well, so.
Can we have it away?
Well, the
One
thing is,
season
yeah,
at home, 1 season away, and do that
The thing
every
you have
year.
to remember with friendlies is you generally play teams close to you, so you don't, it doesn't cost you very much.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but the thing with Darmstadt, for you to know, because you won't know this, Ash, Howard, who does the Tannoy, has got a great relationship with the Darmstadt twinning side and the club, and everything along those lines. And they're the ones. I mean, they're not a huge club. It's not quite like Luton going up into the Premier League, but they've only got an 18,000 stadium or something like that. So there's 2 relatively small clubs gone up into the Bundesliga this year. They've been there before. They were there a few years ago. But they're a terrific club, and if they manage to stay in the Bundesliga for you've been, haven't you, Mark? You've been. If they manage to stay in the Bundesliga, and at that point they then might be looking to do tours or something. Yeah, they wouldn't. I think a one-off would be very difficult to do.
I mean, what like has happened in the past, what might happen is if we could persuade them to come and do a pre-season at St George's.
Yes,
Park,
correct. And play 2 or 3 games.
Then,
Yeah.
then that might
Yeah.
work.
Maybe targeting with friendly against Derby or Forest.
Yeah.
And us at the same time.
So Marseille last year, they was at St. George.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I couldn't quite believe how scranny their fans were going just because Chris Waddle was there. I've never got, even when he played for England, I never went that scranny about him. But,
They loved it, didn't they?
oh, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable, really. The only such fawning of football fans I've ever seen like that was when Albania were introduced to Norman Wisdom at Newcastle, when they played England at Newcastle. Norman, in the communist days of Albania, when Enver Hoxha was he wouldn't allow any Western television or films at all, apart from Norman Wisdom, because he liked Norman Wisdom. So Norman Wisdom was the absolute pinnacle superstar in Albania. And when England played Albania at Newcastle, when Wembley was shut, and they introduced Norman Wisdom to the crowd, to the Albanians, they went absolutely nuts. They could not believe it.
Mr. Pitt, I think.
Yes.
What he was known in Albania, wasn't it?
Yeah.
As a character.
Yeah. And they were absolutely. I don't know if they knew he was coming or not, but whether they did or not, they went berserk when he was introduced to them. Any more questions?
Is there any more news on training ground?
Any more news on the training ground?
Yeah, it's coming on. Yeah, we're. If you bear with me, I can part read an email I received today.
It's not as green as the pitch.
It's not as green as the pitch. No, that is true.
It's better than the other one.
Oh, good grief! Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Hope you're well. Blah 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 blah. We've completed all the grading and additional pipe drainage. Some final cultivation works to be carried out today ahead of installing the irrigation. The irrigation is in stock, picking it up tomorrow. We'll start putting it in the ground on Monday. The remaining will be delivered next week.
Oh, brilliant.
And then so once that, it'll be playable end of July. So we're in the process of trying to find a training ground for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're almost there with that as well.
Brilliant.
But it's something that needed doing. We're going to have 2 really high quality pitches down there that I've been.
And then mirror here, the size of here and everything.
Yes,
No,
and then we've been promised by the football management will make all the difference in terms of attracting and developing players. And turning what we've got into, hopefully some.
They're building some changing rooms on there as well.
Well, if we can find another, not yet. we
Not
need
yet.
to find some more money before we do anything like that. So, but the long term aim
Is
obviously
that
is
whole cricket pavilion still
No, that's long gone.
it's completely flat.
I think when they demolished, that, there were at least 4 Chesterfield
Well,
players still stuck in the wood to
there?
rot
When
into.
we played TI on there, bits were dropping off
Yeah.
and we were getting changed.
Yeah.
And that's 30 years ago. So.
I think that's where El Faturi disappeared to, and fell through the floor of the
Nobody's seen
the
that,
pavilion,
have
the
they?
cricket pavilion. So
Was he last seen doing Amazon deliveries or something?
Amazon deliveries, I don't know. But can you remember Curtis Morrison, who played here a year or 2 ago?
Yeah.
He tapped Nick Johnson on the shoulder at Wembley. He was stewarding at Wembley.
Yeah.
He's still playing for somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky German. I
So
met,
not Curtis Morrison, Ricky German. I've got the
Yeah,
2 mixed up.
I met him.
Ricky German.
I
Sorry.
got a picture with him because he was
Yeah.
doing the disabled access.
Oh, was
at
he?
Yeah, he was helping
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, tapped Nick on the shoulder, who wasn't really all that sure who he was. But yeah, he's playing for somebody.
He's. I know that he'd put that his mental health was
Yeah.
getting better and he'd started scoring. So he
Oh, he's a
was
good little player. He's a good little player.
Yeah.
I suppose Curtis Morrison, who I mixed
Yeah.
up with. Any more online, Marcia?
No, I think.
So have we got any
that's-
more on here, or can we call it a day? As I say, it is the formal committee meeting of the forum on Saturday morning. So we'll formalise all of that at that point. Not sure what we're going to do next month for this drop-in, because I can't come, you can't come.
No.
So all our technology bits. So we'll think about it. We might give it a miss next month, and then have one before the start of the season, because there's nothing happening about match day experiences between now and then. So it's likely that we'll probably miss the July one and have it on the first one in August. First week in August. What day is the AGM? National League AGM?
It's Saturday 10th.
Oh right, okay. But the fixtures don't come out for another week because they normally come out the week.
They never tell you when.
No, it's the
week
first.
after the FA.
One
It's
of the
usually the
agenda
first
points.
Wednesday of July.
One of the agenda points on the agenda says fixtures, season's fixtures. Now, whether they're just going to give us the dates,
Yeah.
or whether they give us the actual fixtures, I think they'll probably just give us the dates at the end.
Yeah.
Well, usually they don't even want to give you the bloody date, do
Well,
they?
it's
Pulling
an agenda-
teeth with
it's an
them.
agenda point, so I'm assuming they're doing it. So, but
It's usually the
Can I
first
ask you why-
Wednesday
why-
of
why
July.
delay bringing them out? What, they've got no They work out manually. and they-
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'll ask.
They normally just put the fixture as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Chances are.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you only have to work out who plays each other on Boxing Day, don't it? That's about the only one. And put the try and avoid Hartlepool versus flipping.
Joe Dart says, "Are we waiting for their season to end before we announce the signing of Haaland?"
Yes.
I would have said more Messi since he's leaving PSG.
Yeah, well, Messi's
you know.
a free agent, isn't he?
I think he's an earnest way out.
Yeah.
Oh, has he?
There we
Yeah.
go.
All right.
Oh.
Okay. And what was Benzema on about? 345 million in Saudi Arabia or something?
Well, it's Saudi government buying
I
him
know.
or wanting to buy him.
I thought that was all highly illegal with governments to be involved with football
It's
and everything
so
like that.
confusing.
Yeah, Mark Jones signing again is quite good.
But I was so happy that I've not seen one negative comment
About Jones.
at all about him signing.
I think everybody.
Is he going to change to squad number 36? Now he'll be 36.
Yeah, because he'll be 36, won't he?
And good reports on this kid from Alfred as well. I've heard plenty of good reports about him.
Kurt said about him when he's been playing Football Manager, he's been raving about him for a couple of years.
Not sure how that counts in the ability on a pitch, but you know.
Lovely bloke. Nice chap.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember seeing quite as enthusiastic your first interview. He didn't say much, but he was very enthusiastic, and you could tell he was glad to be here. And Cookie from last time round, one of his, he's young and hungry sort of thing. We all know about it, but he just likes people to be in the dressing room who are just so pleased to be there, as opposed to your normal prima donna footballers who just take it as a job and everything. He just likes people to be there who are glad to be there.
What impressed me about the Atherton guy was before I retired, I had a lifetime in special education, and I think he has a slight stammer.
Yes.
But to get up front and speak to camera and have all these questions, I thought was superb on his part.
Yeah.
So good for him. He's got a great character, as well as hopefully good footballing boots as well. So I was very impressed with that interview, because not many would do that for that length of time, knowing that things could go a little bit wrong. So good for him.
It's like I can't remember his name, the Reading player? There's a player down that area that's got
it takes extra character, doesn't
really
it,
bad
to do that. And your first
stuff.
interview at the club as well, where people don't really know that. First class.
Good.
And the Alfred chairman was very, very complimentary, very sort of paternal approach to him, making sure he'd gone to the right club, right environment, because apparently some of the clubs are after him. But no, seems like a nice chap. Well, time will tell.
Yeah. Well,
He's also got the longest contract.
I mean, at the moment, are they sure whether Southend will be in this league or not?
well, who knows?
The Rock's taking
The Rock's taking them over, yeah.
Well, I reckon they still don't know, do they?
No.
It's all up in the heads.
Because I don't know if they've settled the last
They did something yesterday.
orders.
Wages have been paid, haven't they?
Yeah.
They paid the wages.
He's probably took another loan out with somebody.
Yeah.
They're just lurching from one to
Yeah.
another, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they said that the National League might kick them out within a couple of weeks if things don't get
She
right.
sat into it because we were all like bad habits, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, Ash was saying about going to the league AGM. I went to one league AGM in 2001, and one of the agenda items was to expel Chesterfield from the Football League. So, it was a decent bit of work me and Ian did that weekend to get that booted out. But that's.
I think Southampton's the only place I have to wear a tie though.
Oh, do they still make you wear a tie?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we
Flipping hell.
No, not county. Yeah, well, that way we won't have that.
Boreham Woods kicked people out their boardroom for not being properly a tie, but I don't think it's a tie. I think it might be a jacket at Boreham Wood or something. But,
Difference the waistbands, isn't it?
right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to Phil and Ash for popping their head rounds. Much appreciated. And enjoy the rest of the summer and the build up to the. Well, it's not long before football. What date's Matlock? 4th of July or something like that. It's not very long, is it?
Yeah.
It's not very long.
Yeah, day before I land back.
Yeah, well, we're away, and
Derby stole-
I'm at the test match on the Derby
Yeah.
game as well.
Yeah.
I'm at the test
I mean,
match
that-
in Manchester on the
I
Derby
thought it
game.
was so much better for Matlock when we played on the Saturday.
It's mostly down to them because they're pretty booked up on Saturdays. They've got Derby the Saturday after us, and they've got lots of, and the cricket,
Yeah,
they can't.
They don't get the attendance even against Derby and Mansfield and Notts
Against
County.
it, they do.
They get against
No,
them.
no.
No,
I know.
I think their biggest problem this year.
Yeah.
And